Girl, stop playing.
Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Stop Playin podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Coriel, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I believe you can make the money and you can get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And when I tell y'all that you are in for a treat on this week's show, this conversation is going to get juicy. It might be one of the juiciest conversations that we have had on Girl Stop Playin. So secure those wigs, ladies, because we're going to be snatching some edges on this show. This week's episode is brought to you by my media mentorship program, Positioned and Paid. Inside of this 12-month media mentorship, I am teaching expert entrepreneurs how to get more exposure by leveraging podcasts, press, and other people's platforms so that you can get paid seamlessly without relying on social media, because I know y'all are sick and tired of that algorithm, just like I am. For more information on how you can become positioned and paid and how you can apply for this opportunity to work with me, check out the show notes below or log on to positionedandpaid.com/apply. All right, so this week's guest, she's back, y'all. I think she might be the first guest that we've brought back for, we needed a round two. This is part 2 of the Mikki Bey interview, okay? So in case you missed the first part, Mikki is a nationally known life coach, entrepreneur, speaker, and beauty industry expert. She's been in the beauty industry for over a decade. She's been seen on Vogue, Essence, CNBC. She's a Shark Tank alum, but we ain't talking about business this week, y'all. We getting all up in her personal business. Welcome to the studio. Welcome back to the studio, Mikki.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take a deep breath. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think I need to take a deep breath. Am I ready? Y'all, Polly ain't ready. You see what I did? You see what I did?
I did. I see what you did.
So before we get into the real juicy conversation, one of the things that came up in the last interview that I didn't even know about and that the people have been going crazy about, go check it out if you missed it, is that you got engaged on your first date. So I want to take it back there because we talked about it last time, but the people had a lot of questions. So I want to just kind of talk about what that process looked like from getting engaged on the first date to actually getting married. Like, what was the in-between time like?
Oh, such a good question. So for those of you guys who don't know this story, I got engaged on my first date and married 90 days later. So the process between the engagement and getting married was really... it was divine. I mean, that's the best way to put it, because once I knew that this is the person I'm supposed to be with, we moved ahead quickly. So he moved in with me 2 weeks after that. We started couples counseling the very next day. It was an 11-week Christian program, and we did that for the 11 weeks as we were getting to know each other, and it was really in depth. So we learned a lot about each other quickly. Mm-hmm. And the day after we graduated, we just decided to elope.
Wow.
And the reason was because my mom had just passed away the day before I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the midst of trying to plan a wedding. And I was the girl that wanted to be married at 19. So I had a vision.
You had the vision.
Yes. I had a vision of what I wanted and how I wanted it to be. I was going to have, wig changes, outfit changes, the whole thing. And when I really got into trying to make that moment come alive, it was really depressing because I didn't have my mom. And I never envisioned not
doing
having
it without her.
Correct. And so he looked at me and was like, babe, I don't need any of that. Let's just go do it. Mm-hmm. And so we literally went and got our outfits from Nordstrom's. I went and got a David's bridal dress, $150. Called my florist. She put together a bouquet, and we went and got married the next day and went on our honeymoon. And 6.5 years later, we're here.
So 90 Day Fiance ain't got nothing on you.
Nothing.
This is the real 90 Day Fiance right here. Okay.
Yes, it is.
I love that though, because I feel like people who, first of all, it's been less than a year. I'm coming up on a year, depending on when y'all see this episode. I'm coming up on a year of my wedding date. It'll be 2 years from when I got married, because we got married 1/1/21, and then we had a wedding 1/1/22. But when I tell you, and my husband, he was telling me, this wedding, I'm telling you, it ain't gonna be what you think it's gonna be. And I did not want to hear that, because I was the little girl who had the dreams and the vision and all of the things. And now, I don't want to say I have a skewed perspective. I think it's an honest perspective of the fact that these weddings be a waste of money. And weddings and funerals bring the worst out of people. You know, it's such a high stress situation that should not be, you know, this is not a time that you should be so stressed. You should be surrounded by love, and you should be, you know, looking forward to so many things. And so I am all for people who say, you know what's really important is our union. What's really important is our relationship. And I'm going to invest more in our relationship than I do in this one day that really turns out being for other people. Them $100 plates really turns out being for other people. So anytime somebody tells me that they just eloped, I feel like that's like a testament of your true, like the true spirit behind the relationship, because it's not just for looks. It's not just so you can have, you know, this one day, but you were really planning for a lifetime together. So I love that. You mentioned that you did Christian marriage counseling. Are both of you Christian? Like, do you still identify as Christian?
I do still identify as Christian. However, I'm much more spiritual versus aligning with any denomination.
Okay. Because
same for my husband.
On our last conversation, we talked a lot about manifestation. I think we talked about the fact that I did a podcast interview, and a big part of the conversation was me manifesting the first fool I got engaged to. And the Christian ladies in those comments, and then me talking about how I manifested my husband. The Christian women were going in on me with the whole, you know, manifestation is not of God, it's not in the Bible, yada, yada, yada. But I know as part of your life coaching, you focus heavily on manifestation. So I always like to kind of get other people's opinion on how Christianity aligns or misaligns with manifestation. So what's your take on that?
Excellent question. And I love this question so much because it's going to lead into what we'll talk about later, which is really programming, right? So a lot of times people say things like that on autopilot. They don't really know why they're saying it. They're saying it because they've grown
heard
up
it before.
Yep, they've heard it in some type of faith-based setting, and they are just regurgitating what someone else has said to them. In my opinion, however you get to your desire, it is fine. If you want to call it manifestation, if you want to call it faith, if you want to call it religion, whatever you want to call it is fine. It's the same steps regardless of what you want to call it. And I think it's really important, especially as Black women, that we get out of our own way. Because a lot of times you are so busy worried about what someone else is doing and how they're doing it. Worry about yourself. That ministry is important, right? If you are really in touch with who you are and you're grounded with who you are with your faith base or your God center, you don't have time to be worried about how somebody else is living.
Facts.
Right? So I think that a lot of times when people have such strong convictions, it's because something inside of them is making them question themselves in some way anyway, right? And so you're looking for a way to invalidate someone else's journey. And it's not about that. I mean, it can all exist. However you get to your desires, fine. If you want to call it manifestation, fine. If you don't, that's okay too.
Yeah. I don't know why y'all Christians be so judgy. We don't have another show about that, but y'all got to stop being so judgy, because I think that just that spirit and putting that energy out there, it's like you said, you could put that energy into the ministry of myself versus me putting that energy into telling you what you should be doing based on what I've been told you should be doing. But again, another conversation for another day. Yes. So how soon did you tell people that you were getting married?
So my immediate family knew, my immediate friend circle knew immediately, literally when I came home.
From the breakfast?
Yes. I told my immediate friends and family that I was engaged. And of course I got all the questions like, how did this happen? And, you know, as I mentioned on the last podcast, I lost several friends as a result. And as far as getting married, we did not tell anyone. The day, there was actually 2 people who knew that we were going to elope that day. And that was my hairstylist and actually 3 people: my hairstylist, my makeup artist, and the florist.
The people who needed to be
the
involved.
People who needed to know. We had one person who was there, who was one of my best friends, still one of my best friends to this day, and that's it.
I love it. Were people mad at you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Did they get over it?
Some did.
I feel like you've been married, how many years? 7
Almost
years
7.
Now? Have they not come back around and been like, well, maybe I was wrong?
No.
Okay, they're just going to eat that. Okay.
Yep. But you know what? I am so happy in my own life. I don't have any time to think about who is not happy for me finding love and me finding support. And I am I wish the best for them. So there's nothing in me that is hurt about that. I recognize that, you know, everybody ain't gonna make this journey,
you know,
right? And so that's okay. For the time they were in my life, it was beautiful, and I'm able to move forward and bless them.
And I think that is truly the difference between people who are truly happy is they want other people to be happy.
Exactly.
You know, if you have a problem with what I deem as happiness, that says more about you than it does about what you think that I have going on. Because the people, I always say this, like the people who are winning, they want you to win too. They want to help you win. I don't know anybody who's truly happy, who's truly successful, who truly feels like they're winning in life that's like sour and bitter and looking down on other people. Like those, they don't go together.
You don't have time.
It's not in alignment. Yeah, you don't have time. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Let's get into it. So, guys, after not last week's episode, but after our last episode together, after part 1 that I'm going to link at the end of this video in case you haven't seen it, but after part 1, off the record, the microphones were off, the cameras were shut down, and Mikki says, girl, you know I'm poly, right? I don't know if you say, you know, I'm poly, right? Because how would I know that? But she mentioned it, and I screamed out loud and was shocked, and here we are. She had to come back because I didn't just want to find out. Y'all know we homegirls here. So I didn't want to just find out the scoop without sharing it with y'all. I think that this poly conversation is so much more normal to so many more people than we know of, because if you're not in it and you don't know anybody who is living that lifestyle, then it's a very taboo topic. But I think social media has kind of, you know, opened up the floodgates for people's alternative lifestyles and different ways that people are living. And so I'm excited to be able to have this conversation on my platform. I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't come in these comments talking crazy, okay? We are open-minded here at the Girl Stop Playin platform, and you can use your own platform to say all the things that you have to say. So I just want to put that out there. But before we talk about your personal journey with poly, I need some definitions.
Okay.
Because, and tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but what I have here on my notes is polyamory, polygamy, polygyny. Am I missing any of the polys?
Oh, there's lots of polys.
There's more than 3?
There's polyandrous.
Good.
There's lots. There's a lot. And I'm really only speaking to ethical non-monogamy, which is the large umbrella that all of that really fits under, right?
Okay.
And there's a lot of different subsections that fit underneath that as well, including polyamory.
Okay.
So it is not polygamy necessarily.
Okay. Can you tell me the difference?
Sure. So being polyamorous just means I have the ability to love more than one person.
Okay.
Flat out.
Okay.
Polygamy means I am a man who has multiple wives.
Okay.
Okay. Polyandry is I am a woman who has multiple husbands.
Brother husbands. Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
It's a thing.
Okay.
It's a thing.
I thought I was telling a joke.
And by the way, I would love,
to have brother husbands.
Okay,
let me add
that
to my question so we can get back to that.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's lots of different subsections in ethical non-monogamy.
Okay. When you say ethical non-monogamy, are you insinuating that non-ethical non-monogamy is like me out here cheating and my husband don't know about it?
I'm not insinuating. That is what it is.
That is what it is.
That is what it is. So ethical non-monogamy means everyone is a consenting participant.
Gotcha.
That I know what my husband is doing and he knows what I am doing.
Okay.
So there is no cheating.
Gotcha.
Now, that does not mean that cheating cannot occur in polyamory. It can.
How does that work?
Because there are relationship agreements, just like any relationship. So it depends on what relationship agreements you have, and those relationship agreements can still be broken.
And if you operate outside of that, then that would make it on the non-ethical side.
Correct.
So much to unpack.
Yes.
So how does the term open relationship fall into any of this?
It's under the umbrella. So for instance, there are people who have like a hall pass, right? You've heard of that?
Yep.
Okay. That's
it's
open
like one time a
relationship.
year, you got a pass to go out and enjoy your night.
That's under the ethical non-monogamy umbrella.
Okay.
Right? Because I know that my partner once a year has this ability.
We've agreed on this thing.
It might still be a don't ask, don't tell. Like you can go and do you as long as you don't tell me you doing you. I'm fine with it. And lots of generations of women have accepted that, right? Where I don't ask my husband where he is or what he's doing. Long as he come home, pay these bills, I'm cool.
Good.
That's where that kind of comes from. But if you have an open relationship, you may or may not be polyamorous. For instance, I have a friend who has a open relationship with his wife. He can date, she cannot. That's not
their agreement that they've come
That's
to.
their agreement. They would be more so open than poly. And he is also not looking to have emotional relationships. He's looking to have sexual relationships.
Sleeping with other people.
Correct.
Got
So
you.
as a polyamorous person, my relationships may or may not include sex, and always, for me, include emotion.
Got you. Okay. So one of the, I was a part of a conversation, around this topic earlier this year, and one of the, I guess, one of the things that was mentioned was the fact that men are cheating on their wives and in relationships every day of the week. So poly is just us. You're consenting. You know what's going on. Do you feel the same way? Like, well, y'all been getting cheated on, so this is the way that it's not cheating because everybody is aware we're all on the same page.
I don't believe that.
You don't agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I can understand why people would say that. 60% of relationships are non-monogamous, meaning you're in a monogamous relationship, but someone is stepping out of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so from that just statistic alone, we know that people are not truly being as monogamous as they'd like to say that they are. But I come from an abundance mindset in everything. So I'm not polyamorous because I was expecting someone to cheat on me. We were married for 4 years before we...
Go on and answer these questions because we definitely wanted to know at what point in the 7 years did y'all make this decision?
So we were married for 4 years monogamously. Neither one of us had stepped outside of the relationship. I brought it up to him.
What were you thinking to yourself first before you had the conversation with him?
So I researched it for a full year before I brought it up to him because I needed to educate myself as to what I was going to be saying to him. And really this whole process of becoming polyamorous happened because I became a mother.
Okay.
And after I had my son, I really started to evaluate for myself what my belief system was because I wanted to make sure that whatever I tell him is what I truly believe and not just programming, not
what
just
you've been
something
taught.
Exactly something I've been taught or something societally that I just accepted. And the first thing I started evaluating was religion because when I got married, I was very religious. Even though we got into a non-traditional relationship from the jump, I still wanted to go to Christian counseling. I still wanted to do things the right way, if you will, right? And so when I went down the rabbit hole of understanding what I felt like from a religious perspective, that actually led me to asking myself if I even believed in monogamy. And once I settled on, I don't think monogamy is necessary for commitment, then the floodgates kind of opened. And I wanted to make sure that whatever I was going to tell my son about how his father and I live was truly how I was living. My whole goal for my son is that he is a free thinker. And that means whether he thinks I agree with it, his dad agrees with it, I want him to know from the inside of his body that the decisions he's making are for him. And I was not living like that. And so that's how I got to polyamory.
Okay, so year 3, you start questioning things, doing your research. Year 4, you say, baby, I want to,
Yes.
please take me to that moment.
So we were laying in bed. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I think I just kind of blurted it out. I was just like, I think I want to try being in an open marriage. And he was like, what? Now, mind you, I was very traditional. So this was blowing his hair back and he's bald, so that tells you a lot, right? He was like, what? Like, what is going on? And I said, well, you know what? I just feel like I want the opportunity to explore. And I didn't know what that really meant at that moment. And polyamory in general, like my being polyamorous has opened me up to more of myself. And I have learned so much about myself through this journey of polyamory, that I feel like I could not have learned any other way. And so we were having that conversation and he was, down immediately. He was like,
really?
Yes. He was so relieved. And I was so thankful that we were having that conversation because he was like, whoo, like it's been rough trying to be monogamous. I was like, why didn't you say anything?
Seriously?
Yeah. I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? He was like, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I get that. But the way that we operate now has brought us so much closer together because there's no reason for you to be like feeling that kind of angst. And for him, it was more not really about the sex. It was like, I can't even meet a new woman at a bar and have a prolonged conversation with her because that under my definition would have been cheating to me. Right. And even on my side, I did not have male close friendships after I got married.
Right.
Because I felt like it was disrespectful. And I didn't have a place to put those types of relationships because, you know, the old women would tell you, girl, you want to make your husband think anything, right? So that's kind of the perspective that I was coming from. When we decided to open up our marriage, it really allowed me to revive those friendships that I had let go by the wayside as a result of me being married, and B, it introduced me to more of myself on a deeper level.
So much. So I have like my head is spinning right now. Okay. So you come to your husband, you say, I think I want to have an open relationship. He does not flip the bed over. He says, wow, thank you for bringing this to me. From there, I'm assuming there was a conversation about the parameters of what this would look like. So whatever y'all came up with then, has it changed over the years? Like as you started to explore, have your agreements started to change, or are y'all still sticking with whatever the agreement was that y'all came up with?
Well, I think the important thing is to always communicate. And so you can have some agreements that are between you and then it doesn't work and you find out.
You think this is what it's going to be and then.
Exactly. So I was the first one to start dating. I was the first one to fall in love with someone else.
Shut up!
I was the first one.
Kym, take the camera off of me. I can't deal. What?
Yeah. Yeah. So we navigated a lot as a result of what I was experiencing and what I was kind of bringing home to process with him. And he nursed me through a breakup. I mean, I had
what the hell? I have so many questions. Oh my God, this episode is not gonna be long enough.
But think about it this way, and I can sum up our polyamorous experience really simply. I am committed to his happiness, whether it involves me or not.
Girl, that is big.
He is committed to my happiness, whether it involves him or not.
But you two are still legally married.
Not only are we legally married, we married. Yes.
You're 100% still committed to each other.
100%.
How does, and again, I know you're not offended by any of my questions.
No, go right
ahead. I just
ahead.
want to say I'm not trying to be offensive in any of my questions because, again, coming from my programming of traditional marriage, I guess that's leading to my confusion about how you can be 100% committed to someone and then also be in love with someone else. Like how are you like categorizing this in your head and your head is not spinning?
Okay. So you have two parents?
I do.
You love both your parents?
Okay, yes, I do.
You have siblings?
Yes.
How many
do I
siblings?
love them? It's questionable.
Okay, well, you can love more than one person in every other category in your life. Why not romantically? You loving your mom doesn't take away love you have for your dad, right?
Yes.
You having a best friend doesn't mean you don't love the rest of your friends.
Facts.
I love my husband. He is not in competition with my love for anyone. I have a son. I love my son. Do I love my husband less because I now have a son? No. So why do we have this limiting view of love when it comes to romantic relationships versus any other place in our life? And we accept that. It's a scarcity mindset that if I'm giving someone else love, attention, sex,
then it's taken away
it's taken away from me. And the whole premise of polyamory is that it's addition, not subtraction. So actually, when I fell in love with someone else, it made me a better wife. It made me...
How?
Because there are certain aspects of me in my marriage that I'm a certain person with my husband. And that is the way our life works. And there's another part of me that is just as authentic that gets to be that person with this partner. Right? That part of my personality. And
so then you can bring that back to your husband. Is that what you mean?
Not even that I can bring it back to my husband. It's not for him. It's for me.
Okay.
And so because I am fulfilled, because I am having the experiences that I want to have, having the sex I want to have, having travel experiences or whatever the case may be, I'm just a happier person.
So you're showing up different in your marriage because of what you're able to experience.
I'm showing up differently, and I'm also really cognizant of his feelings. And so there's a thing called before and after care. So before I go and see another partner, I'm going to make sure that I do the things that help him to feel loved. And when I come back, I'm going to do the things that help him feel loved. And so it really is about having consideration, being transparent, having that trust, and being just open to whatever this journey is going to allow and unfold, being open to that.
So what is the communication like? And I'm assuming that everybody's, relationship is different. So you can only, of course, speak for yourself. How much do you and your husband share with each other?
So I share what is needed.
Okay.
And if he asks me a direct question and I'm comfortable answering it, I will answer as long as it does not infringe upon the privacy of the other partner.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So if he were to ask me, like for instance, we share locations. He knows where I'm at anytime, right? He also, my main partner, has that person's email, address, whatever. Before, when I was dating long distance and I was going to see my partner, he had a conversation with him, was like, hey, my wife is coming to visit you and she better feel safe and she better come back and have a good time. And that's really my rule. It's like, if I'm going to take time away from my house, I want this to be enjoyable. And if he's going to be away from his primary nesting partner, which is me, and his son, then I hope he is enjoying his time while he's outside of this house. Don't leave here to be stressed.
Yes.
Like, get out of here and have some fun and live your life. And I think that fundamentally for me as a Black woman, I think it is so powerful to be able to say, I'm a married woman, but I am an adult person who gets to decide who I do anything with, including my husband. If I decide I don't want to have sex with you, I don't have to. I don't have to have sex with anyone that I don't want to have sex with.
Is sex a requirement in these relationships?
Not at all. Not at all.
So is that not just friendship then?
No, because it can be. But I think polyamory, when you look at the spectrum of relationships and you talk to polyamorous people, there are very intimate relationships that don't involve sex. I mean, for me, sex is not the measure of how deep a relationship is. And I have people in my life that I've never had sex with that I would consider to be an intimate partner. Yeah.
Okay, so how do kids play a role? Because you and your husband, obviously, you share a son. I know your husband has twin daughters that we talked about. If he is with one of these partners and they have a child, how does that work? Is that one of your parameters, like one of your rules? Like, it has to be safe sex so that you're not running the risk of having a child? Or what's that agreement? Or is there one?
So we have had that conversation.
Okay.
My husband doesn't want any more kids.
Okay.
I actually do want another child
Outside of your marriage.
Well, he has said if that's something that I really want, that is a possibility. However, it's not, I don't think I want it bad enough to do that. But again, it's not about limitation. And I get that this is going to be hard for a lot of people to hear and understand. But ultimately, it comes down to, I do not own him. He does not own me. If he feels he needs to have a child, he can have that child.
Wow.
And so I understand that this is really
Girl, you see me. I'm like, is my wig secured? Yes.
But the reason is because we're taught, especially as Black women, right? The whole point of why most of us want to get married is because we want to be chosen. And so we can't
be
really,
the one.
Yes, we want to be the one. And then statistically, we know that over half of Black women will never marry, right? So then we've got all these things kind of swirling around in our consciousness and in our programming that says, okay, well, if I'm going to be married, he's still not choosing me if he's over there with her. Not the case. Not the case. Because, sis, if he's not going to choose you, he's not going to choose you regardless.
And you can't make him.
Right? You cannot make anyone choose you. And what about you choosing you? Right? I can be secure that my husband, he went to Napa Valley with one of his partners. Napa is wine and beautiful scenery and hotels. What you think was going on? Right? I'm completely, but let me tell you why I'm okay with that.
Girl, when the nurses bring donuts to my husband's job, I be like, don't eat them donuts. I'll get you a donut. My head is spinning.
Why?
I wanna give my man donuts.
But what does it matter if he gets a donut from somebody else?
Donut.
Why? What is the thought? Tell me, walk me through the thought behind him eating
this woman
that donut.
Don't need to be feeding. Don't worry about if he hungry. I'll Uber eat you some donuts.
But why? What does it matter if he eats those donuts if he still loves your donuts?
I'm a ridiculous person. I know this. I'm not saying I'm not. I'm just saying in my mind, don't ask him, do he want something when you go grab lunch? I'm a ridiculous person.
But guess what?
Because I'm still
What if he wants her donuts?
He better not want her donuts.
What if he does? Because you're saying she's offering donuts. I'm saying, what if he wants her donuts?
I better not find out that he wanted them donuts.
So you're okay as long as you don't know.
We're still talking about donuts and not cheating, right? We're not secretly talking about sex.
We are secretly talking about sex.
Hell no. You know what? I have said, okay, since this is, this is that show, right? I have said to myself, because of these statistics, if my husband cheated on me, is that a deal breaker? Would that just be the end of my world? And the logical side of myself, and I have had this conversation with my husband, obviously, but the logical side of myself is, well, you would be a fool because the statistics say there's a however many percentage chance that over the course of your lifetime together, this is a possibility. And I would just be a fool to pretend like that is not a thing, right? So logically, do I think my world would end? Would I try to kill him? No, right? Is that something that I am willing to just be like, I'm accepting of it? I don't even want the lady bringing you lunch. So absolutely not. But I don't know. I think it's just part of my programming.
I think that is completely fine. I think my reason for wanting to be open about this, and this is the first time I've spoken about it publicly, my reason for wanting to be open about it is that I think we as Black people need to know that there are options. I did not know this was a thing until I was 37 years old, right? I didn't know that I could choose my relationship structure. As a life coach, I help people design a life that they want to live. And that includes personal freedom on whatever level, right? So I don't feel that I can be a totally free person if I am not able to express who I truly am. I also feel that polyamory for me is an identity, right?
Okay.
So I can think back when I was in kindergarten and having 2 boyfriends.
Shut up.
I can think back.
You've been living this life, Mikki.
I've been living this life. However, I was programmed to be monogamous. So all of my relationships, I had been monogamous. And I remember telling my husband in marriage counseling, if you cheat on me, I'll leave. Period. Point blank in the end. Like, no discussion. Because at that time, I didn't see how you could love me and do an act with someone else, right? But now I understand so much because it's not about, for me, it's about personal choice. And as a Black woman, so much we have to acquiesce in life, in relationships. And it just is such a personal freedom for me to be able to say, as a woman and as a Black woman, I still get to decide the relationships that I have, the types of relationships, whether they're physical or not, because I am an adult. That's what adults can do.
Okay, I have a question. If we have to cut this out of the show, it's fine.
Okay.
Because we're pre-recording this. It's not live. If your husband wanted to have a same-sex relationship, is that outside of your bounds?
No.
Wow.
He does not, but no.
But no.
No, because again, it is about his choice.
Girl, I would be so scared. Oh my God, I would just be so scared.
But
is
think
about an agreement.
Yes, safe sex is an agreement, and I want to talk about that too, because a big misconception is that we are somehow more at risk than monogamous people. Is completely not true. Because
really,
yes, because statistically,
free me of this.
Let me help you.
Okay.
Let me help you. So we already talked about 60% of monogamous relationships are non-monogamous, non-ethically, right? And those conversations are really not happening between said monogamous person and other monogamous person about STIs, about STDs. Whereas in polyamory, that is typically one of the first conversations you have. You are exchanging test results. You are having those open conversations. And it is understood that, we're having multiple partners in some cases not. But if we are going to be sexual, then this is the protocol, right? Safe sex is mandatory. Period. Point blank. It's no discussion about that. So understanding that if people are being non-monogamous, unethically, right? They're cheating. How many of them are using protection? How many of them are getting tested before they do that? So statistically, we are actually equal for the amount of STDs, STI transmission as monogamous people to non-monogamous people.
Got you. Okay. So coming from your initial mindset around, if you cheat on me, I'm going to leave you, that perspective to where you are now, being very open, does jealousy ever come in?
Yes. Jealousy does come in.
And then what you do to get it out?
Well, I think first of all, in order to successfully live this way, you have to take personal responsibility of your emotions anyway, right? So I can witness the fact that I feel jealousy, but that's my issue. That's not my husband's.
You are so much better than me. Oh my God. The maturity in this.
But here's the thing. I have to ask myself some questions like, why do I feel jealous? What is happening that is causing me? That's my trigger. That's not him doing that to me. That's me doing that to me. Why am I triggered in this moment? And what can I do to soothe myself? Right? And that may require me taking it to him and saying, hey, babe, I'm feeling jealous.
Do you have a conversation about
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
I just had this conversation with him 3 days ago that I was feeling jealous. Absolutely. It does happen.
Was it a jealousy of someone getting something that you're not getting?
That's what all jealousy is. Yeah.
Okay,
But it's not a continuum, right? It's not that he's always doing something for someone else where I'm not getting. This was actually the young lady that he went to Napa with. They were together for 5 days, and then he let me know that he wanted to go on a date. This is like 2 weeks later, and I was like, but wouldn't you just go on for like 5 days? Like, and I expressed
with the same person or with
the
somebody
same
else?
person, with the same person, and I expressed in the moment like, hey babe, I'm feeling jealous, and we talked about it, we talked through it. He allowed me to get that feeling out, and then he asked me, how can I soothe you? What can I do to help you feel better about this?
What, and you might not know the answer to this, but I'm curious about what the percentage of married couples who practice this lifestyle, what is the percentage of them getting a divorce? Because I think a big part of this too is this fear of, well, what if you decide you love somebody more than me and then you want that to be your primary person?
Pick me. If that happens, I am happy for him.
Shut your mouth.
I do not
Are
live
you
my
serious?
life. I'm dead serious. I am not living my life in fear that this man is going to wake up one day and be like, I don't want you. Right? Because ultimately, this is about, he is here for his own evolution as I am here for my own evolution. I am here to meet my own desires. He is here to meet his own desires. If I am truly in support of him doing that, if he comes to me and says, you know what, Mick, this isn't what I want to be over here, I'm going to say, God bless you. I understand.
I'm going to say, I'm going to kill you.
Well, but why?
I'm a crazy person. I am a crazy person, clearly.
And listen, I would have been listening to this 6.5 years ago and been like, that chick all the way crazy, right? But I think there has been a lot of evolution on my behalf, and a person has to take their own responsibility, like your personal responsibility, right? Like, it is my responsibility to heal my traumas, to heal my triggers, right? I'm doing that work each and every day. The conflict that exists in marriages is really for your evolution. So that's how I look at it. If we have an argument, I'm like, what is my soul trying to get out of this? This is not about the issue. This is about my evolution and my growth.
So I think the root of that question or where it came from, I was literally watching Sister Wives, which for a lot of us, that was the first time we've ever been exposed to really seeing these relationships in action. And that would be polygamy.
Correct.
Right? And one of the wives is divorcing the husband because she feels like she's not treated like the other wives. So in my mind, I'm like, obviously there is still some jealousy in that. And I think a lot of people from the outside looking in think that the wives are being kind of manipulated into, they didn't really want to be a part of this. They didn't really, they're not really getting out of it what the husband is getting out of it. Is that why that's not what you practice? Because
no.
It's one-sided? Do you think that it's one-sided or no?
I think people have choice. And I think that those women have made a choice that works for them and their family unit. And I think we get into a really sticky predicament when we try to judge from the outside, because even traditional marriages, you can hypothesize what's going on. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors, right? No, I don't live a polygamous lifestyle. I live a polyamorous lifestyle, and that means I have the choice and he has the choice. We are consenting adults, and that's how we roll.
Do you introduce your partners to your child?
We have. Some partners have met my son. Now he's 3, so he doesn't have an awareness that this is mommy's partner or daddy's partner. But yes, that has happened.
Wow.
It's about community. And that's one of the pillars in our marriage, is that we are about creating community. So we're what's called kitchen table polyamory. And that means...
Oh, girl, give us some new terms. Okay.
So kitchen table polyamory means that we are about serving the community as a whole. Like, everyone is literally welcome at our kitchen table. So he is not dating in silo. There is parallel polyamory, which might be like a don't ask, don't tell situation, where I know that he's dating, but I don't meet the person. I don't want to know anything, any of that kind of stuff. We are very open. So actually, on our anniversary this year, he wanted to go to a hip hop concert I did not want to go to. And I said, why don't you take your partner on our anniversary? And he went out with her. She came over to our house and they went on the date.
I can feel the rage rising up in me.
You know what? But why? I mean, ask yourself what the rage is. Because here's the thing. We've celebrated 6 years together. We're going to celebrate however many more. And that is just the day that he would be happier at this hip hop concert with his partner. He asked to take me and I'm not into it. So I'm like, why don't you go with someone who's really going to enjoy that?
So do y'all ever, is the only difference between what you all do and like a swinger is that they do it together?
So we are not swingers.
Is that what a swinger is? Because clearly I'm ignorant on this whole topic.
Swinging would be like my husband and I are swapping with another couple, or we are,
or
going to like a swingers club.
Girlfriend together or something like that. Okay.
Well, that's a triad. If
girl,
we have
I don't know any of the things. Okay. Okay.
It's deep. It's a lot. But ultimately, all of it falls under ENM, ethical non-monogamy. Okay. Right? So whether you're having threesomes with your man, that's technically
the same thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Right? We do not practice swinging, but that is a choice that some people make. We don't date together, so he's dating separately, I'm dating separately.
Got you. What the hell is Nick Cannon doing? What is that title?
So I wish, he really is closer to just open relationships, because to my knowledge, the women are not dating.
It's right. They're separate relationships.
He's ethically non-monogamous, and he is open relating to these women.
Got you. Okay. So then my last question would be, how, in your opinion, does this style of relationship affect the Black community positively or negatively? What's your opinion?
I think that this could be really positive, specifically for Black women and for our children in this community, because as I mentioned, we are already 50% of us won't get married. And that doesn't mean that we don't want that, and we don't want a committed partner, and we want to have children. This allows for many different people, truly like a village, right, to come in and help you with the children, with finances. It's group economics, essentially, right? And so it requires us to have a different perspective. You have to uncouple the thought patterns that you have, right? And look at how you have been programmed to think and assess if this is something that would work for you. And by no means am I trying to convert anyone to this lifestyle. It's what's for me is for me, and what's for you is for you. But I would just say, have an open mind, because just because you don't know someone is doing this, like before this, most people didn't know that this is how we're living. But I think it's important because representation does matter. And I do want to mention one other thing that we didn't get to. So I would also consider myself to be on the asexual spectrum, which means...
Okay. Yes, let's get to it, because what does that mean?
So it means that I identify as demisexual, which means I need a connection in order to have sex in the first place. And also I have spikes in sexual desire. So I could go years without sex and it would not bother me.
Okay.
Right? Problematic in marriage. When I first got married and I realized how much of a mismatch my sex drive was to my husband's, it was a source of guilt for me. It was a source of unworthiness. It made me feel like I'm not being a good wife. And being polyamorous has really allowed me to be more of myself, because I'm able to say, babe, this isn't something I can do for you on a regular basis, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have it. Right. And so for me, it has really allowed me to be free and really be who I am, and have, when I do have sex with my husband or have sex with anyone for that matter, it's because I truly want to. It is not out of obligation. It is not because we're in a relationship or any of that. It's truly because this is a moment where I'm feeling that desire and I want to share that.
You are multifaceted.
I am. And so Black people
Asexual
are.
and demisexual. Would you say that the majority of women are demisexual?
I can't speak to the majority. I can
in
say
terms of men versus women, because a big thing that we've been taught is like, sex for men is like something totally different.
Physical.
It's not nearly as emotional or meaningful or whatever as it is for most women.
I think most women cannot just have
sex with just anybody.
Casual, just straight casual sex. There are some women who can, and more power to them. For me, if I do not have emotions with you, it's not going to work no way. I don't care what it actually is. Like, it's not going to be pleasurable for me. And I think I spent a lot of time, actually, now knowing that information, that was a huge reason of why we became poly in the first place, because I knew something was off. I didn't know what it was, and it was making me feel bad. And I was really just searching for like the relief of like, why is this something I can't do in my marriage when I love him more than anyone and I desire him mentally? My body is not responding. And so I really was looking for answers to that. And I want to say too, you mentioned if your husband cheated on you, like, would you dismantle your whole marriage? And I think it's an important question to ask yourselves, right? Because ultimately, my husband is the person I should be doing life with, I should be building with, I should be raising children with. That is what we're doing. He does not need to be my everything. He does not need to fulfill all of the boxes that I as a person need. And I think that that's too much pressure for any one person. And all we have done is remove that expectation and allow for the development and the growth as individuals, right? And then come together collectively and say, okay, how can I support you? How can I support me? And how can we help the collective grow?
I have one more superficial question.
Yeah.
Do y'all like talk on the phone with other people in front of each other, or is that one of the understandings too? Like, you keep that?
No, it's open.
Oh, you said kitchen table.
Kitchen table. Yeah. If he's having a conversation, I give him his privacy. But like, if somebody calls and he answers the phone, it's fine.
If I was not pregnant, I would have so many drinks right now.
What is it though? Tell me. What is blowing your mind?
It's literally just like the opposite of everything you've been taught. That's it. It's not that I think that I'm like, opposed. Well, I am opposed to it, because I told y'all I don't even want my husband eating the donuts. But it's not that I'm judging you at all. It's just like it's like if you've been Christian your whole life and then you get this new awakening that there is something else. There is another option. There might be another way of thinking. It's just my head is spinning and I need a drink. So I'm going to have one in a couple months in your honor. We'll have one together in a couple months.
Sounds good.
Wow. Jesus Cristo. Okay. Look in this camera right here and tell the people how they can connect with you online. She don't post about this though. So if y'all want to connect on this topic, maybe you talk about this in life coaching.
Yeah. I mean, anything is up for grabs in life coaching. I'm more than happy to talk to you if you're thinking about polyamory or just want to figure out how to live a life of your own design. I am Get Mikki Bey on all social networks, as well as my email is info@getmikkibey.com, and my website is getmikkibey.com.
Yes. Okay. So another bomb episode. As you can see behind me, can they see behind me my books, my new books? They can't see them. Okay. Well, you can see this one. Brand new book. Nobody is coming to save you. It truly is. It's not about being polygamous, but it's about saving yourself, figuring out the life that you want to live and not waiting on somebody to come along to help you live it, but knowing that you have everything you need to pull yourself up, discover your purpose, and live the life that you were born to live. So I'll link it below. Grab your copy. Thank y'all for tuning in. Tell me in the comments what questions y'all have that we didn't answer, because I feel like this was not... We ain't never even had a part 3, but we might not, need, because I just asked what I wanted to know. So let me know in the comments what y'all want to know, what you think about the conversation. I am curious to know if y'all wigs are sliding back as well. I love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. See you on the next episode. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that video. This channel is all about encouraging you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. And comment below and let me know what you want to see on the next video. Peace out.